Hello, this is Zach again, and I'm continuing with what I've been working on Scott, 3303 Scott. Um, I left off having to do the fabs. I also had some questions from before, which I now have answers to. So I found out that these lugs are going to be 1 inch for this job, and our standard now is going to be 1 inch. There's some jobs currently going through our system where it's still 3/4, but for this job, it's going to be 1 inch. So I'm going to go change that in the data. I also have to make a fab ticket for this because the only fab tickets we have for this are 3/4. So I'm just going to start with this because it's on my mind right now. Also found this die was created for our Moffett Gateway project we're working on right now. And I found this fab ticket for it, or fab template. It has some stuff on here, but as you can see, it's for a 3/8. So I'm going to make a new one for 1 inch, but I'm going to use this one as a guide so I get the holes in the same spots. So let's go back. Oops. Back to AutoCAD here. I'm going to close this up. You can't really change this length in the BIM model. It's a fixed length part, and it won't allow you to change it. So I'm going to have to change it in the data. So I'm going to drop all the way back out to my elevation here. And then I want to make sure my details are current. So I'm going to hit refresh there. I made some changes to this data in the BIM model. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the data reflecting those changes. And then I'll run UD on one of these hooks. Takes me right to it. And then I can change it right here to 1 inch instead. I already made a 1R and a 1L, so that's perfect. I plan to take whatever I draw here for these hooks and put them on the server. So I'm going to take some special care to do those right. All right, so UP again, so I get the 1-inch version. And save this, and then QBIM everything. Usually for units I do all. For stick walls I won't do all, hardly ever, because it takes too long. I'll do like maybe one vertical and the horizontals around it, something like that, or a couple bays, but never that many. All right, so usually I actually start from the top and just work my way down, but like I said, I'm going to skip to the lug right away. So let's open up this fab template. Now, the fab template is sort of a base fab drawing without any of the information in it, any of the text. And the takeoff program, when you're drawing fab tickets, will take this template and add all the text to it and producing the final fab ticket. So this is kind of where you want to be drawing stuff because this will get repeated a lot. It'll use this template over and over and over again to make the fab tickets. So here I want to add some notches to this thing. So I'm going to go back to the reference, this guy, and I'm actually going to I'm going to start with these. I'm going to copy them over. So copy that guy and add to copy this guy. So I got both of them on my clipboard. And I can drop them in here. Now these are wrong because, wow. Well, it drew this at 3/4, so I actually need this to be redrawn. So I'm going to save this. When I first drew the BIM model, the data said that this was 3/4 of an inch. So it drew this fab ticket, this fab template at 3/4 of an inch. So I need to tell it that I want it to redraw this thing. And the only way to do that is manually. So if I go back out to the fab ticket or the BIM model, it says it's 1 inch here. I can right click on this and tell it to redraw the fab template. And now when I go to open it up, now it should be the full 1 inch. You can see there, it's 1 inch. Now all these notches are in the wrong places because it wasn't made for this. It looks like this one was made relative to this side and it kind of moved with this side as it got bigger. And then this thing was made relative to this side, so it moved the wrong way. I don't like how any of that is set up, and plus I have to change it. So I'm going to insert the geometry for these two notches. Just right click insert. That puts the solid that is used in the subtraction of that notch into the drawing in model space. And then I'm going to take the notes. These are also part of the notch. I'm going to explode them so that they're not part of the notch anymore. Now at this point, I can just erase these notches because I can't use them as is. But because I inserted it and I exploded the notes, all that extra stuff stays behind and I can manipulate it. So let's start with the actual notch geometry. I'm pretty sure that this counter bore is going to stay the same depth. I'm not too sure. I'll change that if need be, but I don't see a reason why it would go to half to the midpoint. So I'm just going to slide these over. I should slide them all. Slide all of these over so that they're flush with the surface over here. So I like using point filters for this kind of stuff. So I only want to move this in the X. So I'm going to say .yz and then at. That tells AutoCAD that I don't want to move in the Y or Z directions, and I only want to move in the X. And then I can pick anywhere on the correct X axis, which is anywhere on this front surface. And now they should line up just like that. You can see there. Some people will change to this view to do it. I like to not switch my view so much. I think the ISO view gives you a good perspective, so that's done. I do like to switch to this though to make sure my depth is right. I want to make this extra long in case someone needs a more than 1 inch lug. I want this to be long enough so that it still is a through hole. So I'm gonna, and it's a full 3D solid. I can't really edit it. I'll draw a circle at the end of it. So I'm rotating my UCS, draw a circle at the end of this thing, the quadrant, and then I'm going to extrude last out a little bit, out a lot. Let's just go out here a ways. Then I'll, excuse me, I'll union these together. Sorry. So that they're all one object. And then I'll copy this from this center here to these other centers. So I have it everywhere. And then I'll erase the small ones like that. And then I could make this whole a part of this notch, but as I understand it, sometimes engineering requirements will change, and then this will need 4 holes instead of 3. So I'd rather keep this as a separate notch, just so you can leave that one there and then swap this notch out. I do want to center this notch though, so let's just do it in ISO mode. So I'll move this, grab the center here. Now my UCS has changed because I tend to change it a lot. This time I only want to move it in the Z. So I'll do .xy and at, so it doesn't move in the X or Y. And then for my Z, I'll just use a midpoint anywhere. Any of these lines will work. And now it should be perfectly centered. And then that thing doesn't need to be extra long, so I think I'm okay there. Now to make the notches, so use this button over here, notch extrusion. Now when you decide to make a notch, you always want to pick on the, oh, is this the left? Yeah, this is the left. Okay, I had to make sure that this is a 1L and I'm putting the holes on the right side, so we're good. You want to make sure that you click on the main object on the same end that you want the notches to move relative to. You saw when I went from the 3/4 inch to the 1 inch, the counterbores didn't move with this surface over here. And that's because when the person made that notch, they clicked over here so that the counterbore stayed relative to this side of the extrusion. What I want to do, of course, is to put it relative to this side of the extrusion so that it moves with this side. So when I click on it, you can see it highlights only half of it as a reminder that you're using that side as the reference. And then you select the entities just like that, putting all those 3 holes together. And then, yes, I want to add this. And now it's a part of this object. If I click over here, you can see there's a new notch listed, and it's those guys. To manually erase these guys, I may change that in the future. So now I have this notch. It has the 3 counterbore holes. And I want to make another notch for that. So notch extrusion. This one, because it's a midpoint notch, you're never going to win. You're never going to be able to pick a side because you always want this to be in the middle. Unfortunately, there's no way to do that. So I'll just pick a side, and we'll just have to make a new one every time the widths change or the lengths change, and delete it. So there we go. Now there's going to be 2 notches here. Set. I just have to go over here and fix all these notes. So this is not how you should be doing a counterbore. I'll fix that later. Usually don't do this either. At least mechanical engineering wise, you're not supposed to do that. Mechanical drafting wise. Just have this center line. Just like they have it, I guess. I'm going to move all of these over to this quadrant. Stretch these to that quadrant. That. For these, just fix those. This needs to point over here. I want to put this on the server, so I want it to look pretty good. That doesn't need to change. That looks okay. I don't know why you wouldn't put the 1/2 inch over on this side. Let's just do that. I'm going to put it outside. I like doing dimensions like this where you can see what you're dimensioning to, the geometry of what you're dimensioning to. I don't like dimensioning to things in side view like that. Sometimes you just do that because there's space restrictions and other considerations, but see how this looks hidden. Looks all right. Now I really don't like this. Should just say 3/8 inch hole on this side and then counterbore 3/4. There's a symbol for counterbore, which is not in my list here. And that's lovely. Maybe that's why they did that the other way. Let's see what other means. They just bring up the character map. That's unhelpful. Man, I thought there was a way. I don't remember how to do that in AutoCAD anymore. There's a symbol for countersink. There was a symbol for counterbore. I guess I just won't use the symbol. So it's a 3/8 inch hole with, I don't know, 3/4 inch. Eighth inch. diameter hole with 3/4 inch diameter counter bore, 3/8 of an inch deep. Symbols for counter bore, there's a symbol for deep, there's a symbol for diameter, but I don't think we use any of those. So I don't think I've ever done a counter bore in this company. So it's all kind of an experiment. Let's, can't get that to go right. Whatever. Yeah, I don't like that either. So usually there's a counter bore symbol looks like a squared off U that's really wide. And then the deep symbol usually is a top line with an arrow pointing downwards. But I forgot how to get all of those, and I certainly have never done that on end text. And I rather not. I really want to try and figure that out. With these two different, I hope we order the right fastener, because these have to be longer, unless I make the counter bore deeper. But I don't know what they ordered. Might be something to ask. Let's take a look at the detail, because some of the details are kind of inconsistent on the details. We did find it in a detail. If I go back to, I think it's 556 or something. No, I'm just guessing. There was a detail that showed it, but sometimes it shows it at 3/4, sometimes it shows it at 1 inch. Let's see this one. This one's 3/4, and it's showing the 3/8 counter bore, 3/8 inch deep counter bore. But then on some of these details, it shows 1 inch, and the checker found this for me. I just don't remember what detail it was. We saw it on a different elevation, like this. See, that's a 1 inch, but it's still a 3/8 inch deep there. So it's calling 13 pp here. Let me double check. Make sure 13 pp. Yeah, that's a, well, doesn't really say. It's 13x. Let me pull in 13 p. That gets me really worried. Let's see what a 13 pp actually is. It's 5/16, 1.5 inch. That's not a 13 pp at all. Wait, I got it on the wrong spot. Move. Yeah, 13 pp does work. Just want to make sure that it goes through here with enough of the gray threads, because you're not supposed to fasten to the white threads. Those are hardened for drilling. It looks like it's the right size. Not sure why the picture says X. See, that's 13px. This one's 13xx. I have no idea where that came from. Let me line these up. I got to make sure they're the right diameter now. They look identical. Not sure why that block is a different name. Well, 13 pp sounds right. I don't know what they took off, but if they follow the detail, it would hopefully be 13 pp. Let me check a couple more details, because I think some of these details are inconsistent. Here's another 1 inch. It's calling 13 pp. I wonder what 13xp is. Let's look that up. Gonna work out through the list. 13xp is the same size with different thread count. Same length. Let's see, one's 24, one's 18. They probably both work. I don't know. More threads is better, right? Stronger. So worst case scenario, we got too much rather than too little, which is a good situation. Just find that interesting. Oh, sounds like 13 pp works. So it looked like it was 13 pp on a couple of these details now. Yeah. See, this one's still drawn at 3/4, but we're going to do 1 inch everywhere. So it looks like 13 pp is the original size, so it didn't really have to change. Okay, I'm satisfied that what we're drawing is okay. That's the reference. Let me close that. I don't need that anymore. Oh, I do need this note though, so let me copy that. That's not part of any of these notches, so I need to copy that over it all. Paste that in. I'm satisfied with this. Can't find anything else wrong with it. All right, so I'm going to add some notes for my notches. Since I plan to put this on the server, I'm going to do that. I'm probably going to do that for all the things I make for this setup, so that the person who inherits this thing will kind of see what I did. 3 counterboard holes. And then this notch here is the, I don't know what I'd call this. It's an adjuster screw, right? 3/8 inch adjustment hole, sure. They put a nut in here, and then they run a screw through here, and then that screw they can put it down to lift the unit up or set it back to drop it down. So just call it an adjustment. That sounds pretty good. And then I want to attach all of the appropriate notes to the notches here. So edit note. This makes it so that the subtraction, the notch subtraction, comes with the notes, so that when you copy them around, they move together. So I'm going to add to working set. I want this note, all of this stuff, and all of this stuff, like that. You can see it gets bright, showing that it's a part of this thing. And then save changes. So now when I select this notch, it highlights all the notes. If I erase this notch, all of these notes disappear too. If I copy that notch, the notes come with it. It's really, really handy. Do the same for this. Edit note, add to working set. I want these guys and this hatching here that shows that it's through. Save changes. Okay. That's all we need on this fab. Yep. Can't think of anything else, so I'm going to save that. Now what I want, I'm going to make the 1R fab now. And it's going to use this thing, but it's going to be mirrored to the other side. So I'm going to mirror copy this. And then for this thing, I'm just going to copy that. So I'm going to add that as a copy. And then I'm going to close this. I guess I could ON to the next one, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to redraw this fab template. So redraw the fab template here for the 1R and open fab template. There we go. I can paste all these notches. So there's a little bit of a mirroring problem. It assumes the part is the full 30 inches or 10 inches in paper space. So it always mirrors the notes like this. but that's easy enough to fix. Just go here, I edit the note, and then I can slide all this stuff over. Just like that. Like it worked out fine when I mirrored it. Oh, you know what I want to do? I want to add hidden circles on the other fab because the counterbores are hidden. So let's do that after this. So because I added the notes to those notches, all the notes came into. So it's really, really a time saver, especially if you have a lot of variations or little adjustments you have to do on your fab templates. To be able to just copy the notches around. It's really, really handy. Let me go back to 1L. So I'm going to need to copy this too. I haven't forgotten that, but I do want to add in, because when I hide this, if I do HA, you can see, you only can see the small hole here. I want to add a hidden line so that you can see the big hole, so you know there's something more to this thing. So let's do edit note. Once you're in the edit note mode, anything that you draw will automatically go inside the note. So I like to start it first and then start drawing things, because I find it easier to, instead of having to run another command and add these to the working set, I can do it this way. Layer I want hidden. And I want to copy. Last, center, center again, center again. I only like to run snap endpoint because that's the one I use the most. I guess I could turn on center, I just haven't gotten around to it. Maybe I'll do that now. So for running snaps, yeah, I usually only have endpoint. Center doesn't really bother me having that on all the time, so I'll do that. But like midpoint drives me crazy when it's on. Perpendicular does too. Nearest is probably the worst thing to have on all the time. So I like to keep it pretty simple on that side. So I'm done with my changes. I just save them. And now when I do the hide, I can still see the hidden line there, and that makes me feel better about the whole thing. Instance. Save it. I'm going to copy this guy all into the other fab and paste that thing in. I don't need the hidden lines over here because it's visible on this one like that. So save this one, and I think I'm done with those two. I'll put those on the server later. So now that those are there, you'll notice that they're not in this BIM model. That's because I made this BIM model a while ago. I could right click here and refresh it, and that brings in whatever I did on the fab templates onto this model. But I'm just going to back out and go all the way to the beginning. I don't really have the UPD because I didn't change any data stuff. QBIM this. It's going to redraw the whole unit again, and it should have the notches. It's a good time to check to make sure I counterboard the right side. It looks like I did. You can see them from this side. You can see the hole. You can see the counterbore, extra large. And then again on this side. So looks pretty good. So I'm just going to go down this list and fix all the fabs. Starting with this guy. This is the sill. I don't think I actually have to do anything on the sill except possibly add a gasket. So let's just open it, take a look. It's pretty basic. Looks like there's a gasket there too, and I'm going to have to add that gasket. We only add the inside gaskets onto the fab tickets. So, and this is fab 1. So let's just do that real quick because I know I'm going to have to do it. So I'm going to, the way I usually do this, I don't know, maybe Maybe someone has a better way, but I tend to go to my detail and just copy them out. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter what it looks like as long as you're calling out the right number. As long as I'm calling out 236 and whatever this one is, 304, it should be fine. But I like to just get the graphics out of this. So I'm going to copy all this from this inside glass pocket there. Grab those guys and this. I'm not going to grab these because they're going to be the wrong scale. I insert it. I want to insert it at the same glass pocket right there. So I got one here and I got one kind of hiding out over here. And then I like to rotate them first. So rotate both of you guys around the same glass pocket. And I want to go this way. Yeah, like that. Yeah, just like that. And I want to mirror previous. Mirror it around that glass pocket again. Like that. Erase source, yes. And then I want to scale previous around the same glass pocket. And the scale of this drawing is 1/4. So 1/4. And bang. They're both in position. And then I can, this is where 2 monitors is really handy. 236 and 304. So I'm going to drop in gasket symbol. 236. And I think I'm okay pulling it down here. I'm trying to anticipate where things might be as far as like other notes or other features that I may have to get added to this fab. I think I'm pretty safe throwing it over here because there's no surface for me to attach something here, so there won't be an angle or anything like that. Over here, I probably want to pull this further out. There could be an angle, maybe an angle in the front, something like that, at a parapet, or maybe there's some kind of thing here. I'm a little worried about this one. I don't want to put it over here because I don't know what kind of angle might be coming off the top of this on other fabs. This is a Fab 1, so I'm trying to think of those kind of things because this is going to be the basis for all my future fabs. As far as notches on this thing, let me save that. Back to the BIM model real quick. We decided, I think, that there were no notches on this. So this is the light blue part, and it just runs straight. Because this is Inviso to Inviso, or structurally glazed to structurally glazed, there's no face stops out here in the front, so I don't have to make any clearances like we did on the other, on captured to captured stuff. I don't think there's anything else to this fab. It's just straight cut with gaskets. Best kind of fab. Now there may be a situation where I need to turn on the chart at the top because there's some attachment at the top of this thing, but I'm not going to do that on Fab 1. I might make a Fab 2 or something that has that, but that's up for the next person after me to deal with when they run into some crazy unit. Happy with that one? Okay, so after the sill comes this piece, which I don't know where it is until I go over here. Okay, so it's the face stop on the horizontal. So I made this Fab 2 because I wanted to put that 1/32 scant note. So this is an outside part, so I don't need any gaskets here. There's no notches to speak of that I can think of because we don't weep these anymore. Because they just run out the sides. So I think all I need is that note. So there's probably a place where I can copy it. I don't think I have it saved on any one of these. So let me go grab one. I'll grab it off the standard one off the server. So that's, if you open, you go to S drive, fabs, and then probably the most common one is going to be fab 2 of the face stop, the W75 face stop, whatever that is. It should be 13 something, 1301. Fab 2, let's see, it has that note down there. That's what I'm looking for. Cut part, 30-second shortcut size. Copy that. Actually, let me put it on my block thing. I hardly ever use my quick blocks because I usually just use Control-C. But I think I'm going to make a permanent home for this one because I do use it a lot. So I'm going to make that. Yeah, I'm never going to remember that. Yeah, whatever. You got to put it on blocks, on block 1. Cool. And I'll erase this or close it without saving. I have access to the S drive, so I don't want to save the fact that I got rid of that thing. Paste it in. Oops. Control V. Insert block 1. Hit enter. There we go. And done. Nothing I can think of. There's no holes that go in here at all. They usually go on the cover if we run like a flathead to secure it. I'm pretty sure that's not the case on this job. Well, it might be the case. Actually, that thing's pretty big. It probably has that. Should probably look at the details too. There's no fastener here. Ooh, what's this? There's a fastener there. Is that on the horizontal as well? Bad when you assume. Yeah, there is a fastener there. I'm guessing that's to help support because this thing is going to be sticking out here quite far and they're not trusting these little hooks with it, so they're putting a mechanical fastener 24 inches on center. It's probably going to be only at the places with these hooks, so I can probably just bake this right into fab 2. It's probably going to be on fab 1 as well, fab 1 being the one without the 30-second short note. Oh, look at that. They drew a notch here, but W75 doesn't do that, so I'm not going to put that in. He just hatched it. I think that's just leftover hatching. It shouldn't notch over. There's nothing to see. We used to notch that over on the all wall because you could see the bottom of this, but now the cover is designed like this, so you can't see it. So I think you can just straight cut them now. So I'm going to put that screw hole in. I missed that. Now this is a drill flex, so I only have to put the hole here, and then the screw itself will cut into this wherever. So let's measure where that is. One 7/16. It's not really, but I'm going to put it at 1 7. Now I'll probably go, yeah, I'll go 1.5. 1.5 will drop it down a slight bit, but it'll still hit this. I don't want it to be up in here, so I'll just do 1.5. And this is a 13 CP, which is use WW tooltips. When you turn that on, you can mouse over these things and it'll tell you what it is. It's a number 12. And I have a thing printed on my wall that says that a number 12 for a clearance hole is a 1/4 inch hole. At least that's what we do. So I need to call it a 1/4 inch hole, 1.5 inches down. And that's on this guy. So let's open up fab template back up. This is an on-center hole, so there's an argument to be made that you don't have to draw any hole in here. I like to draw it anyway, just because I can see it on my BIM model. I can copy it where if I need it other places. It seems a lot more convenient if there's an actual hole here. So let's just drop that in. I'm going to rotate my UCS around. UCX, draw a circle. Right up here is fine. We wanted a 1/4 inch diameter circle. move that down, directly down 1.5 inches, and then I'll extrude it this way, and then I'm going to slide it over. Usually the shop will do 3 inches from each end and 24 inches on center. That's usually what it means. So I'm going to move it over 3 inches, just like that. It's kind of nice also to see where the holes start, so you can make sure on your BIM model that this hole is actually hitting the horizontal, because this could be overhanging somewhere. This could go over the Inviso as it is, and then not hit anything. This hole might not even be in the right spot, so you might actually have to move it over and have it say 4 inches or 5 inches from each end. So that's another reason I like to have that hole there. So let's make the notch. I want it coming from this end. Oops, cancel that. I want it coming from this end. I've only highlighted that end, and I want that, and it puts the hole in. Done. Erase this guy. Now I have that. A little hole there. I'm gonna use my fabrication hatch faces command. That allows me to pick this face here inside the hole, and then it hatches it in paper space for me. I don't want it in this view. I only really want it in this view. In this view, it's going to be hidden, or like the white lines will be hidden. I just want to see it here. Draw a line, center. This is going to be my center line. Change this to center line layer. I made it long enough to actually have a dash in it. Center that up because I'm crazy. Draw dimension. One and a half inches. And then I need a leader. Now, drafting wise, it's not technically correct to start dimensioning to hidden objects, but we do it all the time. I still try and avoid it wherever possible, but if I was trying to avoid it here, I'd have to start another view, and I really, really don't want to do that. So just do it like this. There could be angles and stuff coming off the front of this. I can conceive of maybe. This does have hooks on it, so there's extended cover going to be here. So it's unlikely that there'll be something there, but it's even less likely there'll be something on the inside. So maybe I should drag these over to the other side like this. That seems a little more flexible, less likely to interfere with anything, just like that. And then I'll also put my leader on this side as well. And this is 1/4 inch holes, 24 inches on center. That's all the shop needs. They assume it's 3 inches from each end. And I'm going to verify that because I can see where this hole is on my BIM model. I'll see if it actually works at 3 inches from each end, and everything's good. Now, I should have turned on my edit notch before I drew all that stuff, but it's not too late. And edit note, enter working set, let's add all this stuff, including the hatching. So that, save changes. And then I want to put a description here. I like to say what it is, what it's for, rather than the size of it, just because it's easier to know if you can delete it or not. Holes to attach to the horizontal. Yes. All right, that's good enough, I suppose. Save this guy, still 30 seconds short. I can make Fab 1 right now and save myself some time. So I'm going to copy this here and do an OP. Here's Fab 1. Fab 1 doesn't have anything because it's not on this actual unit, but I'm going to paste this notch in here. I don't want that note. That's the only difference between the two templates. And save it. All right, I'm happy with that one now. This one, this is the face stop at the sill. This is also Fab 2. I don't think there's any notches on this. It's kind of the same situation. There won't be a hole here because that's all visible. Let's look at the detail briefly. See if we can see anything. So here's our horizontal. This is a wedge gasket. Looks like we're going to have to put this gasket in there, so let me copy that one. Oops. Base point here. Let's grab this thing. I don't know if they're actually going to run that in the shop before the assembly stage. It seems kind of fragile, but let's just put it in there. They can definitely install it if they really wanted to, or just leave it up. Here, rotate it from the same point this way, scale it on this point, and this is a 1/3 scale template. Those sizes are figured out for us automatically, so it's still in the wrong place. Oh, that's interesting. I must have clicked it from over here. Not that important. Use M2P here. Grab the midpoint of that gasket thing and then M2P here. And then I get a perfectly accurate location, centered perfectly. And then I got to call this out. This is Control Tab through all my drawings here. It's 271. That sounds interesting. Wiper gasket, a stack joint. Sounds right. 271. Again, there could be something attached to the front of this, so I want to put my note somewhere kind of unlikely to be used. The other side of this giant gasket is probably a good place. 271. I think that's all we have to do on this, other than drop in our block like that, cut 30 seconds short because this is going to be Fab 2, and that's what we want at the Invisos. Save this, and then I'm going to copy this gasket and fix Fab 1 right now. I'm doing a setup, so it's kind of important to do the Fab 1s and make sure they're good, because that's kind of the basis of all of the future Fabs. So if I don't do Fab 1, then I'm really not helping them much. I'm just getting them the 1 unit and anything like that 1 unit, but all the stuff in the future that I'd have to drop in this gasket or do what I just did. It's just much easier for me to hit this right now. So Fab 1, gasket, no thing over there, and then over on Fab 2, it was the other thing. So that's 3 Fabs down. This Fab here, this is the horizontal body. Well, I'm getting pretty close to an hour, so I'm going to stop the video here. In part 4, I'll continue with this process and probably get through the rest of these. Thank you very much.